Hello, everybody, and welcome to our OSDFCon webinar series. We really appreciate you being here, and we hope you're going to get valuable information from today's webinar. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll be emailing out the link tomorrow to everyone who registered. So if you find it useful and informative, please feel free to share it with anyone who you think might be interested. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. I'm Allie Duveen. I'm the event manager at Basis Technology. I'm just going to briefly go through some logistics. Now, you probably already noticed, but everyone is muted. If you have questions anytime during the presentation, please feel free to ask them throughout, but we will wait until the end to answer them. To submit a question, just type it into the questions pane of the control panel. We scheduled the webinar for 30 minutes. After a very brief introduction from me, there will be a 20-minute presentation followed by a Q&A session. When the webinar ends, you'll be directed to a survey. We would really appreciate it if you could just spend just a couple minutes letting us know what your opinion was. It does really help us learn about what you thought of this webinar and also what we should do on future webinars. So while we wait for a few more people to join, I actually want to take two quick polls. This really just helps us learn more about who you are and will help us tailor this webinar and others to the correct audience. So we'd really love it if you participated. When I launch the polls, you should see a pop-up message on your screen with the questions. So first question is up, and it's really what type of employer do you work for? Are you in law enforcement, military, the private sector, academia, or if you're just not currently working in digital forensics, but you are interested in the field? So please log your answers now, and I'll just give you probably another 10 to 15 seconds to get your votes, I'll say, votes in. All right, and I am getting ready to close the poll. Great, thank you guys. So we have, just to share with Joe, 29% from academia. It's actually a little bit all across the board. 25%-ish in private sector, 12% military, 12% law enforcement, and 24% not currently working in digital forensics, but interested. So that's great. Welcome, everybody. And now there is just one more poll. And that is, what is your highest level of education? Again, this just gives us basically a better idea of who you are. So let us know real quick, and I'll give you about another 10 seconds to get your votes in. All right, I'm getting ready to close. So if you want to vote, now is your last chance. Cool. So we got 50% bachelors and then 17% with the rest of them. So great across the board. So thank you guys for your participation. So as mentioned before, I work for Basis Technology. We've been around for 25 years, and our cyber forensics team focuses on building easy to use software for the people who are on the front lines of cyber. We built Autopsy, which is one of the most popular open source digital forensics tools in existence, and I imagine is what brings many of you here today. We also make a tool for incident response called Cyber Triage, which is hyper-focused on intrusion-related investigations and automates as much of the process as possible. So without further ado, I want to get started. I'm going to introduce you to Joe Walsh, who will be spending the next 30 minutes with you to talk about the research being conducted by digital forensics students and the impact it's having on the digital forensics community. Joe is the director of the Masters in Criminal Justice program and an assistant professor of computer science and criminal justice at DeSales University. He's also been a police officer for 13 years, several of those where he served as a detective, and he's testified in court numerous times as an expert witness. And a fun fact about Joe is he has 2-year-old twins, which, having a 2-year-old myself, I can imagine that he must be a very busy guy. So Joe, why don't you kick it off and take it away?
Great, thanks so much, Allie. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Really appreciate your being here and your participation. We're really hoping that we can meet some new friends and network and collaborate and tell you a little bit about what we do and find some ways that we can work together. So I'll just jump right in. I'll tell you a little bit about my work experience and my background. So I have, as Ali mentioned, been a police officer for about 13 years. Prior to that, I was working in the cellular industry, which was very helpful when I got into doing mobile forensics. I was part of the ICAC task force, and I was also on the FBI's child exploitation task force. Then I jumped into the private sector, working on security assessments and incident response, still doing digital forensics, and then became a college professor about 6 years ago. So really enjoying teaching. I teach cybersecurity courses as well as digital forensics courses. And as Ali mentioned, I run the Master of Arts in Criminal Justice program. So it's a very interesting field, as you all know. And for those of you that are interested in getting into the field, obviously this is a great opportunity, and hopefully that's why you're here to kind of learn more about digital forensics. Just a little bit about my education. I have a bachelor's in information systems and I have 2 master's degrees, and I'm working on my PhD now, which is a lot of fun. And I'll talk to you a little bit about an idea that I have for my PhD project or dissertation as we get closer to the end of the presentation. I have a lot of different experience with training from private companies as well as the federal government, FLETC, and things of that nature, and also have some certifications related to digital forensics and cybersecurity. So obviously, as Ali mentioned, testifying as an expert witness, you want to be able to try to show that you know more than the average citizen. So as Ali mentioned, my wife and I have 2-year-old twins. So they're 2 now, but this is a picture from when they were little. So they are a lot of fun and they keep us busy and definitely are a good time. So that's my fun fact. So as I mentioned, I work for DeSales University. So DeSales University is located in Pennsylvania, and we are a Catholic university. We have a Salesian mission, and Center Valley, Pennsylvania is about an hour north of Philadelphia and about an hour and a half from New York City. So we're kind of in that eastern portion of Pennsylvania. We do have a physical campus. So you can see here a picture of our beautiful campus. We are we have 500 acres, so we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is really nice. And it's just a beautiful campus located in the Lehigh Valley. One of the nice features that we have is that our courses are also offered online. So not only do we get to collaborate with the students that are near us who come to campus, but we also get to have students from all over the country and even from all over the world. And when we have our online courses, it also allows us to have adjunct instructors who are from different parts of the country and different parts of the world, which is really helpful because we don't have to focus on that small geographical area when we're looking to hire our instructors. So just a little bit about our program. So we have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and that has a digital forensics track. We have a bachelor's in computer science, which has a cybersecurity track. Then we also have what we call graduate certificates. They're kind of like mini master's degrees. They're 4 courses. And basically, when you finish those 4 courses, you would get a diploma, a graduate certificate. And the reason that I refer to them as mini master's degrees is because you can then, within 7 years, turn those into a full master's, basically getting credit for those courses you've already completed and just completing the remaining courses. We also offer full master's degrees, one in cybersecurity. We have a master's in information systems with a cybersecurity concentration, and we also have a criminal justice master's with a digital forensics concentration. So I'll kind of talk to you a little bit about our curriculum. I would love to hear your feedback about our curriculum. We're always looking to improve. If you see something that, hey, why don't they offer this course? Please feel free to reach out to me because we're always interested in improving our curriculum. And so if you see something that we might be missing, feel free to either email me or put that into the Q&A. Our criminal justice bachelor's degree in the digital forensics track, we have cybercrime, we have digital forensics 1 and 2. We have a course that focuses on mobile forensics. And then we also have them take hardware support and maintenance, which is kind of like an A+ course if you're familiar with that, basically getting them used to computer hardware and operating systems. And then they have a digital forensics practicum, which is essentially their final project course. And this is where we will talk a little bit later about collaboration, how we can work together. We have a lot of students that are looking for projects to do, and we really like to give back to the community if we can. and help in some way. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the presentation here. We also have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and this has a cybersecurity track. So here the students take some programming courses, a few cybersecurity courses, and we also have them take a digital forensics course, so they kind of have that introductory experience in digital forensics. We do have a lot of students that will dual major in both computer science and criminal justice, especially if they're interested in getting into law enforcement or working with crimes that involve technology. As I mentioned, our graduate certificates, again, 4 courses. So our cybersecurity certificate, we have different courses that students can choose from, and there are 4, they pick 4 from this list. So you can see we have everything from cryptography to malware analysis, and this is nice because the students get to choose which courses they're interested in. As long as they pick 4, then they would be able to earn that graduate certificate. We also have the graduate certificate in digital forensics. So this has 4 specific courses right now. So it's the digital investigation and evidence collection course, which is kind of an introduction. We have our forensic acquisition and analysis course, where students focus on more of acquiring evidence and analyzing it. We have network and cloud forensics, and then we also have special topics in digital forensics, where we look at things like RAM forensics, as well as the students get to do a research project in that course as well. One of the nice features we have is that we try to do a lot of hands-on activities, even when the students are remote and they're joining us from another part of the country. You know, we have them install forensics tools like autopsy, like Ali mentioned. We also utilize NCASE and FTK and Axiom. So they get to have experience with different tools. We provide them with scenarios that they can work through, and then they generate a report. So we really focus on that hands-on approach and allowing them to get experience rather than just watching a lecture video maybe of a teacher doing something in one of the programs. We are looking to expand our offerings. So one of the things we're considering right now is a full degree in digital forensics. So right now our digital forensics degree is really a criminal justice master's with a digital forensics concentration. So we're looking at doing a 10-course degree in digital forensics. So this would be for someone who's more interested in DF and less interested maybe in the criminal justice core classes. So we're looking to expand our offerings. So again, this is where we would love to have help from the community. Hey, we think you should offer this particular class, or this is a topic that we think might be helpful for your program. And then we're also looking at a combination degree where we would combine cybersecurity and digital forensics. So this would basically give a student kind of the best of both worlds, where they have a little bit of experience in cybersecurity as well as digital forensics, and then they can kind of transition into the job that is interesting to them based on what they want to do. So we're always looking for new things we can offer. Again, any ideas, you know, please feel free to share them. Again, we're looking to really just become a great resource for people who want to get into the field or who are already in the field and are trying to expand their knowledge or build their resume or maybe look for a promotion or things like that. One of the areas where we can collaborate is we have a digital forensics lab on campus. So this is a lab that serves Lehigh County and Northampton County. We have county detectives as well as analysts who work in the lab. So essentially, DeSales donated classroom space to the county for them to have their digital forensics lab on our campus. So it's really a nice way for us to give back to the community because we've provided a space for them, but they offer the ability for our students to be interns in their lab. So our students get the ability to work side by side with detectives and analysts who are working on real cases, and it's really great experience. They've hired a few of our students as full-time employees, which is really great because again, the students get to, you know, kind of sample the work environment before they actually jump into the position, as well as the lab gets to sample the student and see if it's someone that might fit well with them. So it's a great opportunity for us for internships as well as research projects. So they will often give us ideas for things that we can do for research that can help them in their investigations. So for example, if they're working on a case that involves a new app, we can have our students set up an app on a test device, and then they can put some test data in there and they can do a forensic examination and then provide that data to the lab in order to help the lab conduct their analysis of that particular case. So it helps them when they're too busy to do their own research to help, you know, our students not only have a project to work on, but also get to give back to the forensics community. Just want to talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've worked on. So one of the projects we did was drone forensics. So we actually obtained a drone, we flew it around campus to put some data onto the drone, and then we examined the drone to recover that evidence. One of the things that was interesting is we used Celebrite as one of the tools to examine the data, and there had been a change in the drone model at some point. So originally, Celebrite was having you take the drone apart and remove an SD card that was on the inside of the drone and then parse the information on that card. Well, at some point, the manufacturer had changed that and removed the SD card and was using internal flash storage that was non-removable. So we were actually able to reach out to Celebrite and say, hey, this has changed. And Celebrite was able to basically change their approach to collecting data from this. So, maybe that helped a law enforcement officer who at some point had to work on that drone. And rather than them having to spend that month or so waiting for that update, maybe we were able to make that process a little bit easier for them because they were able to just jump in and do their investigation. So why were we interested in drone forensics? We actually had an interesting case that was in Upper Saucon, Pennsylvania, which is where DeSales is located. So Upper Saucon is our local police department, and there was a group that was committing burglaries, and they were actually surveilling the police with a drone. So essentially, they were watching the police station, waiting for the police to get the call for the burglar alarm and get in their cars and drive to the scene. And they were able to notify the people that were committing the burglary that they had to get out because the police were on the way. So, really interesting. It's interesting that, we offer this digital forensics program, and this particular case was in our backyard essentially. But this is really what got us interested in this particular project. So we're always looking for new things that we can do and new ways that we can help out in any way that we can. Some other projects that we've worked on, as I mentioned, we've done some forensic analysis of apps for our friends in the digital forensics lab on campus. We had a student who actually did pen testing and forensics on a mobile payment application. So the student basically was able to locate some vulnerabilities that were in the application that allowed transactions to be modified and things like that. And basically this is helpful because we were able to assist that particular company in securing their app. We have done some work with IoT device and officer safety. So, basically wondering how IoT devices could potentially harm officers. So think about doing a search warrant and someone has set up kind of a booby trap of some sort with IoT devices. We've also had students work on IoT device hacking. So seeing how we can basically gain access to these devices or use them in inappropriate purposes. And we're currently investigating setting up an IoT hacking room on our campus. Excuse me. So we have a crime scene house on campus where we can set up scenarios for our students to work on. And it's a 4-bedroom house, and we're looking at converting one of the bedrooms into an Internet of Things sort of lab where people can work on not only collecting forensic evidence from these devices, but also trying to hack these devices. So it's kind of that marriage of cybersecurity and digital forensics. We're also looking to do a project with death investigations with our forensic psychology partners on campus. So essentially what we're looking to do is analyze text messages from cases where people have passed away and using forensic psychology to try to determine if this was a suicide or if it was a staged suicide, maybe it was actually a homicide. So one of our professors that works in forensic psychology has done a lot of work on suicide note analysis and kind of staged suicides. So we're looking to kind of combine this with digital forensics and see how we can use data in people's phones to be able to do this. So, this is an area where we're always looking if we can obtain data. Maybe you have a case where someone passed away, it's suspicious, maybe it's a suicide, maybe it's not. We would love to be able to obtain that data for this research. And we don't need to know who the person is or even where they're from, but just the text messages themselves. And maybe we can even help you in your investigation. Maybe our forensic psychologist can provide some insight. But really, any kind of projects like that, we're super interested in working on. We've also developed practical exercises. So we have our students basically as part of their capstone can try to develop a practical exercise that would be used in a future course. And this is something we'd like to share with the community, almost sort of like capture the flags or, an ability for someone to be able to practice. We'd like to be able to share these scenarios. And if you have an idea for a scenario and you would like us to kind of help you to build it or, set something up for you, again, these are areas where we'd love to work together. One example of a scenario that we had developed by one of our students, you can see here, essentially they used serial characters to kind of make it fun, but they were investigating subjects that were selling controlled substances in a school. So again, they basically used a device that was freshly wiped. They put all of the evidence on the device, they acquire that device, and then we're able to provide that image to our future students along with some questions that they get to answer, and they can kind of investigate the case and try to solve it and see exactly what's happening. As far as collaboration goes, we would always love to collaborate. I'm happy to chat with anyone. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to give you my email address at the end. But anybody that's working in law enforcement, military, even private sector, if there's something we can help you with, if there is some research that we can do, if there's a tool that we can develop, we have a lot of students that are software developers. Maybe there's some kind of tool we can help you to develop to parse certain information, things like that. Let us know how we can help you. We would love to work with you. We're always looking for ways to give back to the community. We, on the cybersecurity side, we send our students out to do security assessments for nonprofit organizations. So they'll go out and try to help them learn how to be more secure. So we're really, kind of looking to partner and help out in any way that we can. We also have a cybersecurity and digital forensics conference each year. So this year will be our 4th annual conference. We had moved it to online last year, obviously because of COVID, but the year before that we had live streamed it so that people could either attend in person or online. So no matter where you are in the world or the country, we would love it if you joined our conference. We're probably it's either going to be April 23rd or 30th. It's usually the last Friday in April. So, feel free to keep an eye out for an announcement. If you are interested, send me an email. I can put you on our list to notify you. But we usually it's a one-day conference. We have multiple speakers that will come. Last year we had a Y-Fighter challenge in collaboration with the Pennsylvania National Guard, where they actually sent out Raspberry Pis to the participants, and it was a hacking challenge. This year, we're hoping to do a digital forensics capture the flag. We have prizes and things like that. So really a great event. If you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me. And we're also looking for speakers as well. So if you'd like to be a speaker or somehow participate in our conference, we would certainly love that. So, how can you help us? If you'd love to be a guest speaker in one of our classes, we'd love to have you. We're always looking for people that are working in the field to speak to our students. So please feel free to reach out to me about that. Also, we're always looking for adjunct instructors. So, I mentioned we're looking at expanding our programs. If you see a place where we're missing content, you say, hey, I could teach this course, feel free to reach out to me and we'll talk about that process. We're always looking for internship opportunities and employment opportunities for our students. So if you're hiring, we would love to collaborate with you there. If you can provide us with data, like I mentioned, the text messages for that suicide project, any kind of data that you can provide us that is scrubbed, that would be lovely for us to be able to work on. Again, we'll take care of any privacy issues by, not getting any information about names or remove the phone numbers, things like that. But we would love to be able to do that. The other thing, we would like to collect a database of just practitioners working in the field. This is kind of an idea that I am working on for my PhD dissertation. I'm looking at a way to provide resources for law enforcement for those people who are not tech savvy, to provide them with a way to learn about how to conduct these investigations. And one of the things that I'd like to do is survey people that are working in the field in how often are you contacted, for example, by a patrol officer who doesn't understand a technology investigation? What kinds of information can I provide to them? So if you can just reach out to me and provide me with your contact information and let me know, hey, I'm working in digital forensics, or I work in ICAC, or I work in crimes involving technology, then I can reach out to you once I have the survey available to be able to capture your information. It would help me to have people from all over the world and all over the country to be able to do that. So that would be really helpful as well. One other project that I'm involved in that I like to mention is I'm the publication chair for DFIR Review. So if you have heard of DFIR Review, it's a great opportunity for publishing your research, sort of like a blog post style. It doesn't have to be as official as a journal post would be, but basically they look at different ways to recover evidence from devices, how to analyze devices, what types of things criminals are up to. So really something cool if you're looking to publish something, or even if you're just looking to see kind of the latest research that's out there, certainly take a look at DFIR review as well. We're also offering a course raffle, so if you're interested in taking one of our courses, please feel free to visit our site here. Allie had sent out the link as well, but it's desales.edu/CSDF free course. So CS stands for cybersecurity, DF stands for digital forensics. So please feel free to enter our raffle and you can win a free course in our graduate certificate program. We do also offer prior learning credit. So if you've taken some digital forensics courses before, we can look at how we can provide you with credit for those courses so you don't have to repeat some of the courses. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Please feel free to jot down my email address as well so that we can chat in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. So now is time to ask your questions. So feel free to ask anything you'd like. I did just in the chat also enter the link to get the free course, and I'm going to send right now Joe's contact information as well. So if you aren't able to stick around for the Q&A session when you leave the webinar, please try to answer the survey. Your feedback is really important to us. If you have a question, click on the Q&A tab on the control panel. If during the webinar you closed it out, you should be able to find the control panel again by either finding the arrow and clicking on it, or at the top of the screen, find the GoToMeeting toolbar and click on Window to get to the GoToWebinar control panel. And you should be able to enable it again there. And while we're waiting for those to come in, I do want to remind you that the presentation is recorded and a link and this information will be emailed to everyone who registered. So please feel free to share it if you think it could be useful. So with that, let's get to the questions. Can Europeans attend an online course and receive the degree as well?
That's a great question. We do have international students. The only requirement that we have for our grad certificate is that you've earned a bachelor's degree or whatever the equivalent is in your country. So we would have to just take a look at your transcript. But as long as you have that bachelor's degree, you would definitely be eligible to attend our courses and enter to win the free course as well.
Great. Are the research project papers available for download?
You know, we haven't set that up yet, but I think that's a great idea that we should kind of set up a site to do that. So feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in any of the specific projects that we've worked on, and I can share that information with you. But I think that's a really great suggestion for us to kind of have a repository of our research for people to download.
Great. When did the digital forensics program start?
So our program started in 2009. So we've been around for a little over 10 years, which is really great. And like I mentioned before, one of the really good things is that we are online, so people can visit us from all over the country. So that's why we're kind of trying to spread the word that we're out there, and you know, we're happy to serve the population at large, not just the people in Pennsylvania.
And I did get another follow-up question. Can you provide the link for the DFIR review papers?
Yeah, definitely. So I believe it is dfirreview.pubpub.org, but let me just double check that real quick, and I will post that in the chat window. Yep, so it's actually dfir.pubpub.org. So let me see if I can send that in the chat. Hopefully that came through.
Great. Yep, I see it.
Awesome.
Awesome. So those are the questions we have for today, and we're just coming to the end of the time, so perfect timing. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. We hope you learned something and found this useful. If you have any additional questions, as mentioned before, you can reach out to Joe directly at joseph.walsh@desales.edu, and you can get that and the link for the free graduate course in the chat. I'll send out an email with that information tomorrow as well, along with a link to the recording. We will be announcing more of our upcoming webinars soon at osdfcon.org/webinars. We're currently getting all of those scheduled, so you can check there for updates. As mentioned a few times already, please answer that survey. We really do love hearing what you guys have to say. And that's it. Actually, we did get one more question that we can close out with. would be good to collab academically? Oh, sorry, that's not really a question. Excellent. Stay healthy out there, everyone, and we hope to see you again on the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Take care, everyone.